Okay.
Okay.
Neat. We're both recording. That's
Oh,
so cool.
nice. Okay. Yeah.
I love that.
Well, great.
Mm-hmm. Um, yeah, so you're gonna give us some updates on what you're up to.
This summer, I'm starting a series exposing excellence and with leaders in the Roanoke Valley for 2024. So I'm in the city of Roanoke, Virginia, primarily for the workshop, physical in-person live workshop. So as I've been telling you about this workshop that is for comedy and business with Clayton Fletcher in October.
Mm-hmm.
Part of that is a leadership series for team leaders and executives and executive coaches that are around the Roanoke area. So that'll be released as bonus episodes on the Dear Business Coach podcast throughout the summer.
Ooh.
And so what I'm hoping to do is to talk to Roanoke Valley leaders here in Virginia who would like to put some eyeballs and some ears on community projects that their companies are working on, right? So what are we looking to get exposure for in terms of who are the leaders in, my area who have something to say, and it's hard to get local eyeballs to your community event or your efforts that your company is making locally if you are marketing yourself to podcasts nationwide. So I believe that a local series would help with that. And so if for executive speakers, I also realize, or for executives who speak, I also realize that the chance to be on a podcast could um, elicit some scary feelings, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
you don't know, am I supposed to talk about myself? Am I supposed to talk about my title? Am I supposed to talk about my the company I work for? What am I supposed to focus on? And
Mm-hmm.
so part of the summer series is a 15-minute live segment every Monday morning on that I'm presenting on LinkedIn and Facebook that is for executives who speak. And that is called So You're Going to Be a Podcast Guest Now What? For executives who speak.
Ooh.
And so this is 15 minutes live every Monday morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And what we talk about there is how to come to the interview feeling good about what's in front of you, right? So I give tips on having a one pager in front of you so you can keep something nearby that gives yourself a focus, and how to sprinkle your call to action into a podcast interview when you're an individual representing an organization or corporation, because I've been told personally by a few folks in that business world that um, that's we need a little pick me up. We need a little soft coaching on being able to talk about ourselves, even though we're representing a company or an organization. What do you
Mm-hmm.
think about that?
Yeah, I really like that. And I've heard some of your lives on LinkedIn. Is that part of this series or is this something separate?
Right. Thank you for asking me to clarify. So the summer series for executives and speakers and leaders in Roanoke, those are individual podcast episodes. So we pre-record those as a traditional
Ah.
interview, but it's a limited series that'll be released as bonus episodes on the podcast. So the live segments on Monday mornings are just me talking, so that if you're someone who's a professional who would like to be on a podcast or has some podcast appearances coming up, you can come to this live event and get some tips about how to prepare for your professional interview or a podcast episode when you're the guest.
Yeah, and I do think that's so important because as an introvert myself who was petrified of being on video or podcasts or recording and then hearing myself talk again and make mistakes, I think people do need some tips on how to manage that. And it sounds like you're providing that. Very cool.
Well, I hope so. And it's funny that when we prepared for our very first recording together, Brianna, you had told me that you couldn't find anything on my website about me. And so that was I had to answer that question and talk to you while figuring that out. And the answer ended up becoming work on the LinkedIn profile. And so I point people to my LinkedIn profile. That's Elizabeth Walker at Work, is the
Mhm.
actual handle. So what a LinkedIn profile does personally for me, and that I think executives and team leaders who work for a company or an organization themselves can pick up on from coaches that do this at LinkedIn, that do this as their training, right? Help you how to help you build your LinkedIn profile, is for that reason, right? So if you're out here talking, you still need somebody to go and need somewhere for your listeners to go find you and connect with you.
Yes.
So this is a topic that I am bringing from the individual podcast world to executive speakers and team leaders. What's interesting is I was asking the same feedback from a gentleman here in Roanoke, John Lusher. He has a marketing agency. And so he said, "Do you know what, a lot of folks in that position that you're asking about, they represent a company, even if they're an executive and they're kind of forward facing, right, as far as representing the company, there's a good chance that, like myself, when I talked to you before, haven't really done any work on their profile, on our profiles at all in a long time. And
Mm-hmm.
so you're afraid to tell people to go there."
Oh,
Um, and so I'm glad that John gave me that feedback, because I think I need to bring that up, because it's not the first time that I've heard that. So you just said a minute ago that you were an introvert. Maybe you still are an introvert, but maybe you have some different tools and you're getting a little bit more comfortable with it just because you're doing it now. And same with me. We kind of got started in being in front of the camera kind of at the same time.
mm-hmm.
So almost lost my train of thought there, but yeah, so feeling like you have somewhere for people to go and find you.
Yes. And maybe we could talk about lead generation here. How do you get leads? How do you build your email list? And it sounds like you're utilizing LinkedIn to help build that lead list. Um, People that are interested in hearing more from you, learning from you. You connect really well on LinkedIn. So it sounds like that's part of that. How are you building your email list?
Yeah. Well, I'm learning too. So thank you. Yeah, I am enjoying it. I like LinkedIn. It's the part that you just said, enjoying it, because I did spend some time with Deanna Russo, who is already in my recording bank as an episode guest, but it's not released yet. So
Mm-hmm.
she is a coach that talks about her triangle strategy. So
Mm-hmm.
what happened after working with her is I started really enjoying it, because social media is something that I haven't really been comfortable with for a long time. Not that I don't know how to use it, or because I'm on it for all kinds of other things, right? Just like a lot of people say, well, I opened an account a long time ago to stay in touch with friends that I couldn't find after college
Yeah,
or something like that, right? So
right.
that was the case for me. And then I'm not actually using it to do anything, in my opinion, very cool, other than uh when somebody has a wedding or they move, I know where they went or see a
Yeah,
picture.
it's
So
great for that too.
right. So once I got to talk to somebody who uh has a uh, has a strategic approach to the basics, then I realize that it's not as scary to start talking to people. So that's kind of a secret when we're getting to email subscriber list, is is being able to, I'll repeat what something that my LinkedIn coach said is find the conversations that you want to be a part of, not
Mhm.
just, right. So that's what happened for me, was like a light bulb aha moment when talking with her is, so what am I supposed to do? Just go and like find people that I think are interesting, and okay, I'm liking their posts. Okay, maybe I'm supposed to send them a DM at some point, but like, what do I say? And
Mhm.
no matter when I send it, it's going to be awkward. And so
Sure.
how to interact with people that are having conversations about the topics that you're interested in, that you want to be a part of, and that you want to market yourself in, is uh, doesn't have to be tricky. So that's something that I talk about in the LinkedIn lives too. Now, the other part of that is LinkedIn live audio is its own special kind of event, because people come to these live audios in order to network. And you yourself, like, we don't always want to be prepared to be on camera. You don't have to. Being on an audio live event, everybody can see your profile page, and and when you're in an audio room, you can see the profile pages of the other people in the room. And I find that very compelling,
Mhm.
because then all of a sudden I'm making friends. So in a traditional, for example, Zoom workshop or a Zoom meeting, you're there for maybe like a class. You don't want people DMing you while you're trying to pay attention to the speaker, unless it's for that, right? Unless you're there to chat, and that's the name of the game. With
Mhm.
an audio room on LinkedIn, somebody can send me a friend request by tapping on a connection request by tapping on on my profile picture, and don't have to leave the audio event or have to go and read at your profile.
Oh.
The audio event will let you tap on a participant's profile, and there's
Oh.
just a little extra box that pops up at the bottom of the screen that you can click on follow. So you don't have to go and read their whole profile in order to find the follow button. So you're still in the event. You haven't
Neat.
lost the speaker. So that's something that I think is fun for other people who attend.
Yeah.
So that's where I tell people to go and join my email list, because the episodes for Dear Business Coach podcast come out already, so that your episodes can go right into your email box. However, the live events now are going out as their individual email, so that you can click right into the event from your email. So you may or may not have found the actual event listing, but you don't have to go and hunt for the events in the calendar. It's already linked in, a link to the individual events. So I think people are signing up for the email because it's just one, I'm giving them the tools in one place. Hopefully that's the goal, right? I don't want you to not come because you had to open up one more screen to go find it.
I like that. I had no idea you could click on the different profiles and just add them as a friend there. You're building your network and your friends. So cool. I like that.
Yeah. And so you have experienced a couple of the live events. Had you been participating in LinkedIn lives very much prior
Nope.
to? No.
I have no I was a little scared of them. I think with anything that's new, you're a little like, oh no, can they see me? If I
Right.
join this, or do I have to say something, But it sounds like you don't. You just show up and listen.
Right. That's, you know what? I'm glad that you mentioned that too, because the way it works is you can raise your hand just like in other meetings.
Mhm.
Um, so you don't have to raise your hand.
Cool. You can just sit there and listen.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, they're fun. I really enjoy your lives. I think I always learn something new I had no idea about. Sometimes I take some notes. I need to organize my notes better so I can find them later, but they're very interesting. and really well done.
Mm, that's really sweet of you. Well, one of the things that I like to offer as thanks to business coaching advice, right, is have a gift, have something that you can give your audience members after the fact. So that's something that is either one, you have to come to the live event to get the material, right? But two, if you click attend on the event, you will get an extra gift, an extra replay, some recaps. So
Mm.
that way, you can say you support the event by clicking attend. I'm not offended if you for some reason can't actually be there, but if you click attend, then I know you were interested and you probably would like to hear about future events. So if you click attend, then there's a chance that you'll get a further invitations from me too. And at that point, maybe you want the email reminders anyway. But yeah, if you click attend, then it goes into your calendar. So that's something that I would like to encourage my listeners to do with their events too. And
Mhm.
one of my favorite people right now for audio event coaching is Mimi Langley. And she does her own audio events that are all about how to host audio events.
Mm.
So I talk about her all the time because she's another great person to listen to. She she talks about when you're in a live audio event, also think about the other people that are joining these live audio events like doing this. Right. So if you are trying to build your own audience, you also want to go to live events because you want to meet people who like going to live events so you can invite them to yours too.
Ooh, that's a good tip.
Um, right.
Mhm.
If you have a live event that you would like to, let's say you want to start a live event, but you're shy and you would like somebody to co-host with you, Mimi's events are great to meet people who are there to volunteer. They want you to ask them to come and help you co-host.
I love that. Oh,
Yeah.
so cool. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that LinkedIn and a lot of the social media, it really depends on how you use it, who you connect with, because maybe for one person, LinkedIn's boring, but for another person, because they connected with all these unique people and people who have similar interests, to them, LinkedIn's amazing. So I think it just depends, you know?
Yeah, I know. We heard a friend of ours say that LinkedIn wasn't so interesting for them, and that's fine. And
That's
I can
fine.
understand why. Yeah, and that
Yeah.
might be one of the things that uh my friend John Lesher was telling me that folks who do work for a company are shy to advertise themselves personally on a profile. They don't know what to do with their content, right? So why
Hmm.
would I tell somebody to go to my profile if I don't think it looks good? Which is another reason why I asked for help from somebody specifically who's Deanna Russo, who's a LinkedIn coach.
Yeah.
And so it is easy to get on a social media profile and think, well, this person's only posting, it's just ad after ad after ad. Like there's nothing to engage with. And that's something that is part of the magic that we're trying to figure out here in our business school, right? Is it interesting for you to post, but also it needs to be something that hopefully your audience can use, can make.
Yes.
What am I going to look at your profile and do with that? If all
Right.
I'm going to do is go, oh yeah, huh, her office hours are 1 to 2 and she coaches something, I don't know what, but like it looks pretty. So, but I
Yeah.
want you, so here comes this call to action. This is something that I talk about in my LinkedIn lives, because when you're selling yourself or your own business or your own product or your own services, even if you're not comfortable talking about like yourself or putting your own face on camera, you probably
Hmm.
know what to tell people to do. Go to the website to get a free consultation, for example. But if you work for a corporation or if you work for an organization, your call to act, you think, well, what am I going to do to tell people to engage with me when I get here or when I get there? And
Yeah,
so the answer really is to get folks to follow you or connect with you, but why would they want to do that? So
right.
you know, there is some exploration there in terms of giving people a call to action. So it could be as simple as in the bottom of your post or somewhere in your post. Don't be shy about telling people, hey, if you liked this post, ring the bell on my profile. Hey, if you liked this post, send me a message and tell me so. And so that's one of the things that I think that I forget to do is, okay, cool. People are liking my profile and they're following me, but the follow through is part of the system, right? So
Right.
just add a little something to your post so that people know you are actually asking them to engage with you.
That's cool.
Have
You
you
know,
ever noticed that?
yeah, I need to add that to my YouTube videos. I have the little button, but I never say like and hey, please support us, like and subscribe. I never say that.
Yeah, it's easy to forget. And I've been looking at my own content and other people's content, thinking about that because I have definitely, as a person who sits here and does this all day, I still look at people's postings and I think,
That's
oh, well,
great.
she probably posted that because it's a cute picture and she just felt like posting it. You on the other end are going, why is nobody talking to me?
Ah,
That's
yeah. Huh. We need to think about what we're interested in, but what is our audience interested in too? What can
Well,
they
just
learn?
tell them to tell you. So like I
Mm.
see Brianna's post and I love it, but you're now that you have, you know, you're a writer and you're on Substack. So I am used to be looking at your content and I know I'm going to go read something. I know I'm going to go find something to dive into. I'm going to find something there, but I'm familiar with your content because I know that content back there. But if I'm looking at somebody's profile for the first time and it's just a profile picture that looks like a magazine spread, I think that you just put that there because you think it's a good photograph. If you don't tell me that you want me to message you or email you or do something with the post,
Oh.
I don't know. I think maybe I'm just
Oh.
supposed to look at it and it looks pretty.
Oh. Huh. You know, I didn't think about that, that I should put on my memes. I love creating memes, as you see. I'm like obsessed with it. I should put like and subscribe, please. It's so simple.
Right. Well, and so I hope that I can find more people like um Deanna Russo and John Lusher and like yourself who, you know, when we're going to every day, every Monday for a 15-minute segment live, so you're going to be a podcast guest now what for executives who speak, when people are listening to you on a podcast episode, how are they putting a face to the sound and how are they putting a face to the voice and a voice to the sound? So
Mm.
each week there's new things. You would think that it would get boring. You would think that, okay, here's your checklist, write down your call to action, remember that story you're famous for, don't forget to repeat your call to action at the end, and those things are always true. However, there's always some little tidbit to squeeze in there,
Mm.
like something to say on your post, ring my bell. That's a
Hmm.
good one. Not a
Please
lot of
follow.
people do that.
Uh-huh. I don't have that on
Somebody
any
follows you,
memes.
that doesn't mean they're going to see all your stuff.
I have the link, like I'll put Attainable Vision LLC, but I didn't say, hey, check out our website. I didn't say, hey, follow us. Wow, that's a
It's tricky.
revelation. I'm gonna go fix everything.
I know. I know. One more thing to do on a Friday afternoon.
Right. Well, not today. I might,
Right. Not today. Oh, how about on your day off?
right. I'm gonna go binge watch something later. Something
Yeah.
sci-fi, maybe. Anyway.
Well, I'm excited about your content, and I'm not surprised that you're putting out creative writing, because you spend time talking about your business as business for nerds, and you talk about enjoying video games and sci-fi and reading. So yeah, I want to read your stories.
Oh, I need to work on chapter 2. I have like a little outline and some ideas, but that one I have released, that is, I wrote that, I don't know, like 10 years ago and then just updated it because I was actually planning to submit it for a writing contest, but then I saw that they charge a lot to even enter it. And I'm like,
Yeah,
no. So,
yeah.
but then I discover you introduced me to Scott,
Mm.
discover Substack, and I'm like, ooh, I could put it on there. So cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and so the Dear Business Coach podcast is on all the places that you would expect it to find. But before we go, I want to make sure to take advantage of this spotlight with you to practice talking about Chiconomy, the State of Women Institute Podcast Network.
Mm-hmm.
Just as a quick highlight, and it is on LinkedIn, that Anu Barjwad is the founder, and Shequonomi. Chiconomy is actually an app, and it's for content made by women for women. The podcast network, called the State of Women Institute Podcast Network, is the collective or the group of podcasting curators, content producers that make up what's going on that app. But the reason why Anu is spending all of her time going all around the world talking about Chiconomy and the State of Women Podcast Network is because she is working on what she calls bringing me, I'm using the word media, but her words are to the bottom billion. And she's talking about audiences who don't have access to traditional smartphone devices. And you would be surprised how much of a market there is for people to listen to your content, who want to be in the marketplace, but don't actually just have access to a device, a smart device. And so there are new technologies developing um, that let you buy a phone, for example, for 10 bucks, 10 American US dollars, that
Nice.
has the capabilities to listen to podcasts. But that's also focusing on New Barjwad's work, and the Chiconomy app is also focusing on, of course, women. So it's not that you can't put your podcast and your RSS feed on these types of devices right now. You can. I would encourage people to check out Pod LP, PODLP. It is the same thing
Mm.
as when you put your RSS feed to when you add your RSS feed to any other place to be distributed. Like, I have my podcast on Spotify, that RSS feed goes to Apple and Amazon Music, and where those
Oh.
places, where those RSS feeds can go. So you go to Pod LP in the same way, and Chiconomy too, and submit your RSS feed, and now your podcast is going to people all over the world, in places where they're using streaming in a way that we're not used to, in a
Mm.
or not used to, and they're using streaming because those technologies are being built on lower cost devices. So if you are interested in women's content, there's a whole lot of educational material there too about the power of podcasting. And so there's a lot
Ooh.
of people who are specifically joining the Chiconomy network and the State of Women Institute podcast network, because it's important that we put a spotlight on folks who are creating for the sake of getting as many people to have access to the media, to information and media as possible.
Mm,
So that means that where, if that means that if you are just using your phone to record, for example, it's free. You can create a podcast for free with your device and your free distribution somewhere, like we had talked about before with podcasting can be 100% free. Well, same thing for somebody who doesn't have an iOS device, a traditional smartphone. You can still make content and release content, distribute it, and have your own content available to your own audience.
mm. Wow.
So you might have to cut some of that because that was like a little watered down. But anyway, the point is, maybe what she's talking about, you can go check out Chiconomy and read about it.
Yeah, I've read a little bit, but that your explanation is actually really great. I now understand a little better. So I'm definitely going to look into that a little more. Thank you. Very
Yeah.
cool.
So at the very least, it's you can always find new places to share your RSS feed to if you're a
Hmm.
podcast creator. So
Yeah, and you're like you're saying, giving allowing more access for people with different types of devices. I think sometimes we don't think in those terms, so you kind of expanded our view or our understanding of this. Very cool.
yeah.
Hmm.
So I think exactly like what you just said, like I wasn't even I sort of am thinking that because everybody has a smartphone, that must be the cheapest and easiest way for people to receive content.
Right,
And naively, no.
right.
And
Yeah,
they're not cheap. It's just that here everybody has one.
right. Yes. Yes, we need to think in other types of terms that not everyone has access to that. So that sounds like they're expanding that reach so everyone has access, or everyone that can get
Yeah.
these devices.
Yeah.
Wow, cool. That's good. Wow. Yeah, maybe here, going back to call to action, maybe we talk about our call to action. What's your call to action? What are you? So you did actually describe some of it, but just kind of recapping, how can we reach out to you? What should we
Yeah.
do when we reach out to you?
That's right. Go to dearbusinesscoachpodcast.com so you can subscribe for weekly episodes and the links to those live events on Mondays. They're 15-minute segments. Speaking of podcasting for women, on June 3rd, there is a special event at 10:15 a.m. for podcasting for young women leaders. So you can subscribe at dearbusinesscoachpodcast.com. And if you want more, if you want the LinkedIn profile, if you want the Facebook profile, that's where you can find it. Thank you.
Good. Cool. So I guess I'll go over mine. Now I am mostly marketing my Substack, and I think it's at Dr. Brianna Willie. So you can see me there and get access to mostly free content. And then also I am selling my course, Start a Therapy Private Practice, for 50% off for the next few days. So you can see that
Mm-hmm.
at attainablevision.courses/therapist biz. And I have a code for that. So email either Elizabeth or I, and you can get that code. Um, let me see what else. Oh, and I am launching a course, not a course, a coaching cohort for July if you need individual coaching with some group meetings. And that's it for me.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me today. This is great. So let's keep talking, and you tell me about your cohort because that's exciting. I saw a post on that, so I want to share that too.